Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest today. We have back an encore appearance, again, by one of our favorite authors, Ursula Wong, author of now Amber Widow. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is great to see you again. You had, now the first two, talk about your first two leading into this one.
Oh, yes. So this is now a 3-book series about the Soviet Union and the occupation of Eastern Europe. Focuses on Lithuania.
Yeah.
And Amber Wolf, the first book.
That was the first one.
Which is, we reissued the cover. The story is exactly
I know,
the
it
same.
looks different. Yeah.
Different but the same. Yeah, the tones are a little bit different. But Amber Wolf is about the Soviet occupation of Eastern Europe and Lithuania beginning in 1944.
Yeah.
And in particular the resistance fighters who took up stolen weapons to fight the Russian army.
Right.
And tremendous David and Goliath story.
Historical fiction, right? It's just
historical fiction, based, very much based on a lot of research, some private papers my uncle had among his possessions that kind of spurred me into years of research to get to a point where I could do this series.
Oh, this is amazing. All right, so you've been on with that one. That was her very first one.
The very first.
A little different cover, but the first book.
Yeah, and then the second one is Amber War.
Yeah.
And this book begins in 1948, and the occupation has been going on for years. Even though World War II is over, it's really not over in Eastern Europe. So by 1948, people are settling in, and the resistance fighters in Lithuania are beginning to realize that no one's going to help them. So people are leaving, and the fight is. In spirit, they want to go forward, but they really can't. They just do not have the wherewithal. And while this is going on, the Soviets are employing other tactics to try to wipe out this resistance that has been stinging them like hornets.
Not until I met Ursula did I realize so much had happened.
Yeah.
I didn't really remember this.
Right, and so the Soviets, while resistance is waning, the Soviets don't necessarily know this. Yeah. So they do amnesty. They try to get people to just admit their partisans, admit their resistance fighters, and give them their weapons. Not many people bought that. Yeah. But the Soviets also tried espionage. So they got Lithuanians.
What else is new, right?
I know, but they found Lithuanians to actually infiltrate the partisan camps to try to destroy the resistance from the inside.
So they had to pretend that they were on the side of the resistors.
Yeah.
And your grandfather was in on this?
My uncle met a lot of people who were in on this and actually kept in touch with them. Oh. And when he died, I found his correspondence among his papers, along with some manuscripts that these folks had written. Oh. And so it was a treasure trove of information. Of course, I had to verify everything with research, but it's a very, very interesting story.
So that was number 2.
Number 2.
Here comes number 3.
And number 3 is Amber Widow. Yeah. And this is a really exciting story to me. This has all the components of a thriller.
And let me hold it up for you. You can zero in on this. This is a beautiful cover, Paul. Amber Widow, this is her third in the series.
And it has political intrigue, it has danger and adventure, high stakes, and it's a modern-day story. So I like to think that it brings the concept of this nation, Lithuania, that strove for its freedom for so many years under so many tremendous odds. It brings that principle and spirit into modern day, because as you know, Russia is not necessarily the best neighbor. And what Amber Widow talks about is the potential threat of a Russian invasion
into Lithuania,
and a Lithuanian radical group that comes up with a very dangerous plan to stifle and stop that invasion.
Oh my gosh. And that really happened?
No, it did not happen. The truth of Amber Widow is this. Yeah. In 1990, the early 1990s, Gorbachev is in power. Yeah. And the idea that the Soviet Union is going to break up is prevalent, but people don't know what it means. Yeah. So the Soviet bloc countries, like Lithuania, are worried because they'll be free, which is good, but they will be completely defenseless. And they don't know whether Russia has a plan. Russia is the largest country in the Soviet bloc, whether Russia has a plan to invade and take them over once and for all. So there is real tension in the 1990s. So what happened is Lithuania declared their independence from the Soviet Union before the breakup. And eventually Russia agreed, so they became a sovereign state in the early 1990s. But while this was going on, the power plant, the nuclear power plant in Lithuania.
Oh, I didn't know they had one.
They have a Chernobyl style. Yep, in
When
Lithuania.
did that happen? How long?
It was online in the 1970s. 2 reactors. And what happened during these years, late 80s, early 90s, the threat of the breakup of the Soviet Union, the uncertainty, there were thefts of nuclear material from that power plant. Some speculate there were as much as several metric tons. Now, a metric ton is a little bit more than a ton, so it's about 2,200 pounds. But a lot of nuclear material was actually stolen from that power plant.
By, what do you think?
Well, there were a couple of Russian guards who were imprisoned because of this, but the thing is there were many thefts.
Yeah.
And because they don't know how much was taken, we don't know how much was recovered.
But how do they take out of a nuclear reactor? How do you...
Yeah.
What do you take out of there?
Yeah, so nuclear waste is packaged, so it is possible to transport that.
Wow.
And there's another story which is in the book. It's kind of a sideline to the book, but it's true and it's actually fascinating. And that is that some Russian guards actually took a fresh fuel rod. So in a nuclear power plant, there's this large device, it's maybe 3 or 4 stories high, but it's cylindrical, it's huge. And it actually goes over the reactor, which is on the floor below. And it has a means to extract a spent fuel rod into this large cylindrical device and replace it with a fresh fuel rod.
Or a phony one, I'm thinking.
Or a funny one, but that wasn't the case.
No,
but anyway, so these fresh fuel rods are, if you can imagine, these very, very large, thin cylinders.
Yeah.
So a couple of guards carried it outside the power plant. They strapped it underneath their SUV, right? They attached it and they just drove off. So they found one of them in a river near the Polish border. This is all true.
Why would they toss it in the river?
Because you can't use fresh fuel. For a dirty bomb, you need nuclear waste.
My God.
So if they had done their research, they would have known.
So that was in the early 90s, right?
That was in the early 90s. So I took that truth, and I took the truth of that, time of confusion and uncertainty, and spun a tale.
Tell people, who is Amber? They're saying, well, this looks like a good book, but who is Amber Wolf?
Well, I mean, it's the Amber War series. The Amber Wolf actually refers to one partisan woman, and it was her code name. Back then in the woods, people used code words, passcodes, it's a security measure. So this woman, the sharpshooter, with leadership capabilities, a heck of a woman, her code name was Amber Wolf.
Yeah,
so she was the inspiration for this series. Although she's a fictional character. She is the combination of many people who I researched and who did very fascinating things during the war. Very brave things, things you just wouldn't believe.
When did you begin doing your books, the research for your series?
Oh, geez.
Because I've known you for like 3-4 years.
Yeah, it must have been as early as 2014, 2013.
All right.
I've been at this for a little while.
All right, because our show was born in 2012, so you came like maybe a couple of years after, in 2014, 2015, with your very first, and then your second, and the third. Did it take you about a year to write this?
It took a couple of years to research these books, but once I had the material down, Amber Widow went pretty quickly. That I did in about 10 months.
Yeah.
Amber War, number 2. I'm going backwards now. This book about post World War II in Lithuania. This took about 18 months, and Amber Wolf took years of research, the first
That
one.
was your very first one.
Very first, and it took a long time to really validate. So, again, my uncle's papers kind of spurred all this activity, and he had manuscripts about the resistance fighters.
Yeah.
He had a manuscript about a priest in a concentration camp in
Meaning
Poland.
he had written it himself?
I think other people wrote it, but I had carbon copies
He had
You
these
know,
stashed away somewhere.
stashed away.
Where
among
did you
his
find
papers.
them?
He had a big old farmhouse with a lot
my.
of boxes. I went through everything,
Yeah.
and I found this material. And I knew it was something to
Yeah. Oh,
pay
follow
attention
up
to.
on to, yeah.
Yeah, so...
They were like journals, diaries almost.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he had... my uncle was doing some stories about, living under the Soviet occupation, and there were some letters, notes, all sorts of material. And so I read everything many times, and...
Were you
began-
surprised by what you read?
Yeah. One of my cousins told me that there was a manuscript, but I didn't realize there were several manuscripts
A
and
lot, right?
papers and everything, yeah. So that actually spearheaded all of the research. And the research took a tremendous amount of time because I don't speak Lithuanian.
Yeah. And it was in Lithuanian?
No, it was in English.
Okay,
His
yeah.
material was in English, but
Yeah.
I had to validate it, and I don't speak Lit, so how am I going to validate
Yeah.
it? So I used English source material to investigate the occupation. And that amounted to many historical books.
Yeah.
Annie Applebaum, who
Mhm.
writes about the Soviet Union. I read many of her books, but Lithuania was maybe a paragraph,
Yeah.
a footnote. I read a lot of memoirs, especially from people who had been deported. The Soviet Union in 1944 deported hundreds of thousands of Lithuanians to Siberia. Just wanted to decimate the country. Yeah.
And your uncle was lucky that he didn't go, right? He wasn't sent there.
He wasn't sent there. Well, he was in the U.S. Army, but he met many people who had escaped the Soviets, who were in the DP camps.
So he was from our United States Army.
Yes.
Was
And
he born there, though, in Lithuania?
No, he was U.S. citizen,
Yeah.
but we're of Lithuanian extraction.
Yeah.
And during the war, he was stationed in Europe, and there he met many Lithuanians in the
All
in the
those
camps.
notes that he took, too.
Absolutely, and he kept in touch with all these people as well.
Were you able, are they gone now, or were you able to contact some of them?
I knew many of them as a little girl,
You did?
and I still remember them. I remember them vividly. Now, the thing is, I was so little, they would never tell me their story.
No.
I mean, it was just too much for a kid. And, of course, I didn't care because I was,
Yeah.
I wanted to go outside and play.
Yeah.
But, I remember them quite vividly, and these were the people that, really lived those stories. But, I read through memoirs, I read through, every newspaper articles, old magazines, everything I could get my hands on. But I finally validated what he had in those papers.
Right.
And at that point, after years of doing this, I really wanted to spin my own tales.
Oh, definitely.
So-
We're talking with Ursula Wong, and she is the author of a series. This is the third one now, Amber Widow. Okay. And it's the Amber War series, book 3. Where can they get this, Ursula?
Well, it's available online on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Kobo.com.
What's Kobo?
Kobo is it's similar to Amazon in that I believe they're mostly focused on books,
Yeah.
but it's an online catalog.
Okay.
Yeah. And a couple of local bookstores. The
Barnes & Noble? Catna?
I'm at the Book Lovers Gourmet.
That's over in Webster,
in
right?
Webster.
Yeah.
And the New England Mobile Book Fair, which is a fabulous
I've heard about
organization
this.
in Newton. You need to go there.
Is it really like a trailer on wheels?
It used to be. They've relocated to a strip mall across the street, so they've gone conventional. But it's a wonderful place.
What
Truly
you just
wonderful
walk
place.
in and it's like a treasure trove of books?
Yeah, yeah. They have a good collection of New York Times bestsellers.
Yeah.
And, the current political books, the biographies and all that kind of stuff. But they have local authors are very, very well represented in that
How
bookstore.
about sci-fi and mystery?
Everything, yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's in
yeah.
Newton.
Yeah, Newton Upper Falls, yes.
I know I've heard about this. We haven't been up there, but it's worth the trip, right?
It's worth a trip. In fact, they're having a Christmas party tonight, a grand gala.
Are you going?
I am going. I'll be one of the authors at the gala. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, how can they contact you, Ursula? If somebody wants you to come and give a presentation,
Oh, yeah.
whatever, how can they get a hold of you?
I love to speak to groups. I mean, I think this is a fascinating story, and people respond very well to it.
Yeah.
Go to my website, ursulawong.wordpress.com.
Harrowing, heroic, and at times poetic. This was David Daniel, the author of Reunion on Amber War.
Right.
Now, they need to have a picture of you on the back of this. I love it when they have a picture of the author because, I don't know, that's what I do when I borrow a book from the library. I look, for some reason, I don't know.
You've got me in person, so
Yes.
you don't need a picture.
Definitely. Well, when you started, my gosh, the research you did you have to travel to other states or other places for their facilities, for the research?
Pretty much I was able to do it from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
I did visit some places, some bookstores. We did make a trip to Lithuania,
Yeah.
and that was very, very informative.
You actually went there.
Yeah, we went there. We rented a car and just drove all over the country and met a tremendous lot of people, heard a lot of stories.
What is it like there?
It's lovely and quaint and very rural, very nature-oriented kind of place. It's just beautiful.
Is it anything like Poland or the USSR? Is it anything like...
I've never been to Poland, so I
Yeah.
can't say, but it is a modern country.
Yeah.
And, it's not as wealthy as the United States by any means. In fact, the standards are a little bit below Europe, but they're definitely European standards. Wonderful food, a great place to vacation.
Really?
It's safe. There's a lot to do. There's fishing. All sorts of hiking trails. It's a beautiful, beautiful.
What is
country.
the employment like? What are the most popular jobs?
Lithuania? Sure. So there is a problem right now with the job market. I mean, it's not where they want it to be. However, there's emphasis on new technology. So Lithuania is in the forefront of laser technology.
They are.
They are, both research and manufacturing.
Yeah.
And remember that power plant I told you about?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
when Lithuania became free in the 1990s, there was a effort to get alliances. So Lithuania joined NATO, and then they petitioned to join the European Union.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one requirement from the EU was to bring that power plant offline and to disassemble it.
And did they?
Well, the normal way you bring the power plant down is through a meltdown, right?
Yeah.
So their engineers, the Lithuanian engineers, figured out the way to safely bring those reactors offline,
Wow.
and they are in the process of dismantling it. So that is the technology that they will sell, an expertise that they will sell to countries that need it.
Now, I think we have one up in New Hampshire,
Seabrook. Yep.
Seabrook. Would they, if they had to dismantle it, would be done the same way as it was in Lithuania?
It's a different style reactor, but yeah, I mean, the essence is the same.
Why did they want them to do this?
It's a Chernobyl-style reactor.
So
So
it could go hoo-hoo.
Chernobyl blew up, so, there was a universal sentiment in the EU that, this reactor be brought offline.
Do you, Ursula, have your books over in Lithuania? Are they selling over there? They should.
They're in English,
Yeah.
and I went to I went to a Lithuanian event
Yeah.
in Connecticut over the summer, Putnam, Connecticut.
Putnam,
and-
that's right over the line here.
Yeah, right over the line. And I was there, and someone came up to me and said, "Oh, you're Ursula Wong.
Yeah.
I heard about you in Lithuania." So you could have knocked me over with a feather.
Yeah.
I had no idea, but
Yeah.
word spreads quickly, and I hope people find these books engaging. They're very, very informative. They have not only the
Yeah.
history, but they have a good story that wraps in all of these true events, although with fictional characters, and it includes history, the legends, some of the foods, as much as I could put in of the, culture experience
Yeah.
of Lithuania.
You
is
should
in
go
these
and teach in
books.
school. You'd be great. You've got a great way of speaking. She's very engaging. And I could see you going into a high school, and of course they have to study the different countries, right?
That's right.
Wouldn't this be fantastic if you went in and gave a speech to the high school?
Sure, about the Soviet occupation, absolutely. That would be
Definitely,
very
that would be
informative.
fascinating.
So maybe some of your viewers might contact Ursula Wong at wordpress.com.
Right. Do you want to give them your emails if they want to contact you personally?
Sure. That's my website. ursulawong.wordpress.com is my website. My email is ursula_wong@comcast.net.
And there you go. Now, do I ask if there's a fourth one coming?
There is.
Oh my God, what will this one be?
Well, the working title is Black Amber.
Black Amber.
Black Amber. And what's going on right now is that Belarus, which is predominantly Russian,
Yeah.
no, it's not Russian, it's pro-Russian.
Mm-hmm.
Belarus is building a very large nuclear facility 30 miles from the Lithuanian border.
This is for real.
This is for real.
And what year was this? Is now?
This is now.
Okay, now you're bringing us up to now in your books. Yeah?
Yes. So I feel that that is something interesting to inform the population at large about, who don't take the time or don't have the interest to go through newsreels
Right.
and to wrap that up in a story. And the other aspect that I want to talk about in Black Amber is the fact that Russia is trying to build a second pipeline through the Baltic Sea
Why are they doing that?
so that they can get natural gas
Oh, okay.
from their tankers right into the refinery in Poland and into the European grid. And this will make a lot of money for Russia. There is a pipeline right now called Nord Stream. They are building Nord Stream 2, which is this whopper of a pipeline. The catch-22 is that they have to get approval by every country that has land on the Baltic Sea.
Ooh,
But they're doing it.
they're doing it.
They're doing it.
Even Lithuania is saying okay?
Well, Lithuania's not saying okay, but I believe Denmark approved the project.
What do you
And that
think
was fairly
Lithuania will
recent.
do?
Not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure. It's a delicate balance. It's Russia is a ferocious neighbor,
Oh, yeah.
but you don't want to go up to the bear and hit it. You know, you want
No,
So
no.
I don't know. I'm not a diplomat. I'm not a
Yeah.
politician, but I think it's a difficult and very interesting dilemma.
So how will Black Amber, how will that fit in with all that's going on?
Well, I'll put it in modern-day Lithuania. My Russian characters are also fictitious, so
Yeah.
I do not. Putin is not one of my characters. But oddly enough, my president of the Russian Federation happens to be an ex-KGB agent, so it just happened.
For
that way.
real?
My
in the
fake, my
yeah, in the story. I was going, whoa.
But so I'll put it in the modern day political and energy context.
So now Amber, what will give her an idea what she's going to be doing as black? What does Black Amber mean?
That refers to oil.
Oil.
Yeah.
Okay, that will be
Yeah.
her key name.
Well, not sure it will refer to any person in particular. That title may just be about Black Amber, meaning amber is a precious stone, or it's not a stone. It's fermented.
Amber, yeah, it's
A gem,
yeah.
a precious entity, but black refers to the oil, so it's the mixture of this oil and the precious culture. So
Will she be a heroine in this too?
there will be a lot of women heroines.
A
I
lot
like
of them.
women heroines. Yeah,
Now, how far are you on that book, the next one?
research only. Research
only.
only.
So
right now.
you're at that point now. You must travel staying in Massachusetts and you can get it, right? You can get all the information you need. Do you have to go to Boston or Worcester?
Yeah, I scoot around. Sure,
Yeah, yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to research?
Actually, in my office at home, where it's quiet, nobody bothers me, and I can really focus on this.
Is there a lot online, or do you actually prefer? Do you have to go to places though a lot more than online?
I'm going to have to see with this next novel how much I'm going to have to travel. I think I'm going to have to get to potentially an oil refinery in the United States to get a better sense of what is going on
Would that be
there.
Texas?
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. It could be the Gulf.
The
It could
Gulf.
be. We'll see.
That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have any idea before you saw your uncle's manuscripts that you would be doing anything like this?
No, the amount of material I found and the detail I found in his papers was just astounding.
Yeah.
And it really wrapped me up. It took a while, and of course I couldn't do this while I was working.
Yeah.
When my husband and I finally retired, I was able to devote time to this, and it took every moment.
Yeah. So she has appeared, Ursula Wong has appeared over at the Book Lovers Gourmet in Webster. Are you planning anything coming up so people can look forward to going?
Let's see, what do I have? It's a little bit quiet for the first of the year.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of events. There was a huge Baltic celebration in Copley Place, Copley Square, in November.
Yeah.
And this was the centennial of the freedom that was given to the Baltic countries in 1918
Oh, wow.
after World War I. And so hundreds of people were, showing various aspects of craft from Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, and there were speakers, ambassadors were there.
Your book would have been perfect.
I spoke. It was perfect. I was there.
Yeah.
And so I met a lot of people, heard a lot of stories there too. That was a fabulous 2-day event, truly fabulous.
So nothing planned yet for the new year. Not
A little bit quiet right now.
Not quiet right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I know that was I was sharing with Ursula that we went down to Cranston, Rhode Island to see the Rhode Island Authors Expo at Pawtucket on Roads on the Pawtucket. It was overwhelming. I mean, it was wall to wall, aisle to aisle authors. They have 300 members in their group as it is.
Yeah.
I don't think all 300 were there, but it felt that way.
Yeah.
Even the authors sitting there were like, it was boom, boom, boom. It was a great, we just, after an hour, I'd had it because it was so overwhelming. I'm like, where do you go next? I mean, I hate walking by an author's table. I feel so horrible and not acknowledging them.
Yeah.
But with that many jammed in together, they're just sitting there like, please come see me. And I'm like, oh my God, there's someone over there I'm supposed to talk to.
Yeah.
It makes a person feel guilty.
No, well, you shouldn't. But events like that are great places for writers to network with other writers too. And that can be very valuable. You might find people to help you with your book, or a quid pro quo kind of thing, or just a new series that you love and you want to read. And so it's good for writers too to do.
Yeah, I
that
know. I
kind
tell
of
a lot
thing.
of my authors, I say, when you go, especially a new author who's I'm working with, I say, if you go to one of these expos, don't expect that you're going to sell 1,000 books, okay?
Yeah.
And you may not even sell one, but bring someone with you. Not just when you want to go to the bathroom and someone needs to man your table, but take your book, get up, and your business cards, and walk. Go up and down, meet the other authors, because you never know, one of them may know a great place for you to be, that they're looking for someone just like you.
Yeah.
I said, I want to see you come home with a ton of bookmarks. I say, and I want you to connect with these people, find, whatever they're doing, even customers coming to the table. Ask for do you have and so that you can follow up with them.
Right.
So all is not lost if you don't sell a book.
No, I mean, and that's very important advice, because a lot of writers I know are essentially introverts, because
Yeah.
writing is a very solo, it's a lone sport, it's a single sport activity. And so to be in a position where a person that is an introvert has to, go out and meet people, it's good to be reminded of that and try to get out of your skin a little bit, as uncomfortable as it may be for some, because it's very important.
Yeah, I talked with one author when I first got in there, and I said, this is really something. She says, yes, it's a little overwhelming. I mean, it was as far as the building, table after table after table after table.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was sharing with Ursula. It wasn't like Danversport up in July, which has quite a few authors. It's large, but there's an open feel to it.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. They're both great, but so far my favorite, it would be Danversport, but it's relaxing, a little
Yeah.
bit more relaxing
Yeah.
for the authors as well as...
Yeah, Chris Oberst does a good job up there.
He does.
Yeah.
Ursula, before we close, one more time, how can they get a hold of your book? And don't forget, there'll be a copy downstairs, right?
Sure.
In the law. How can they get a hold of your book?
Amazon.com, look for Ursula Wong, or Barnes & Noble online, Kobo online, even in the iTunes bookstore.
Really?
Yes,
Cool.
and the Apple bookstore. And also go to my website, ursulawong.wordpress.com. I'd love to hear from you. I have a comment link. You can send me a message and, look at the books.
Are you
and
on
let me know
Facebook?
what you think. I am on Facebook.
You are on Facebook,
Yeah.
too. Okay, that's right. Amber Widow, this is her third in the Amber War series. Lithuania, what people went through there. This is like historical fiction, and she does a ton of research. This doesn't just happen. And because her uncle had left behind so much information. This inspired you. I'm going to go with this. And you started in 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what, this is your this is your third appearance on with me?
I've been with you. I sure beat stealing cars.
Yes, it does. Thanks for being with us. We're going to have her back again.
All right.
Maybe next week. We'll see you next time and be my guest.
Bye.